Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live, talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynn@pghcitypaper.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Yeah, c'est moi. It's it's not a Monday. It's a Monday to me. It's a Tuesday to the rest of you, and it's February 18th. My sister Susan should be on the line, I think. Hi, Suze.
Good morning.
Whoa. Hi, how are you? You were sort of louder
And
than
what
me.
did my tones sound dulcet or something?
No,
That you
you
said whoa.
No, it was just louder. It was audio louder. It sounds good. You do not sound quite like one of the Simpsons ladies today.
Okay.
All
Good.
right.
Good.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I sort of didn't pay attention to any news for about 3 days, so I was trying to play catch up yesterday, and I regret it. I do.
Yeah, I have to say I'm so exhausted by the whole thing that
Yeah.
in a rush of self-care I've stopped reading newspapers.
Oh, you did. See, yeah.
Well, I mean, I can't take it anymore because he's doing this president is doing so much damage that it's just
I know.
it's just too difficult to read. Although I was happy to see that the head of the Federal Judge Association called a meeting and said, "What are we going to do about this guy? This is terrible."
Yeah, that I saw this morning too, and was happy to see it. This is not it's just a sort of ad hoc professional organization for federal judges. I mean, they don't have to belong to it, but yeah, the head of it, a judge in Philadelphia, I guess, has called for an emergency meeting of federal judges to deal with the dangers, the true dangers.
Unprecedented.
Is that what she says?
Unprecedented. Well, I think that's what she's talking about. The unprecedented interference of the executive branch in the judiciary branch.
Yeah. They have a meeting, an annual meeting coming up in a few months, and the judges decided that they couldn't wait, that it was that important to do it immediately. And then you have obviously this letter from all these former thousands of former employees of the Justice Department under Republican and Democratic. And by the way, I think the judge who called this meeting is a Bush appointee.
Bush appointee.
Yeah. So people who don't understand that what is happening is
Sorry. Oh well,
that's
everybody
okay.
in the house is awake now.
Yeah, well, we hadn't heard Ernie yet this season, so that's good. Hi, Ern. So you cannot overstate the danger right now to everything that has made this country great. You cannot overstate it. And also, you cannot overstate the fact that the riven Democratic Party seems frighteningly incapable of perhaps finding the right candidate to ensure that we get rid of these people. It's very, very upsetting. It really, really is. So... but you're the one who's always cheerleading that we can't.
I'm gonna repeat my mantra one more time.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say one more time. The biggest thing that we have to fight is exactly what we're both talking about. This hand-wringing, this we can't do it, this oh my God, because it's still the same thing. Whoever we pick, whoever ends up coming up on top, we've got to be excited. We've got to go vote. We've got to get everybody to vote for him. That's it. It's just hard to wait to do the work. It's like sitting around, drumming your fingers on the table, waiting to get to go into the game.
Well, let me tell you something that happened here. This is why I'm so right now down on sort of the Democratic Party at the moment. One of the things that a local story, but this is the time that the county and Democrats gather and make their endorsements for upcoming races. And the Democratic Party of Allegheny County, Jesus, endorsed a woman for the state house, I believe. I want to make sure I can get this right. Endorsed a woman who has on social media shared her hatred of Obamacare and has said things like "Go Trump." The Democrats endorsed this woman over a progressive woman candidate.
Okay, well, then
How do
they
you
aren't
even?
Democrats.
Huh? How do you even?
Then they aren't Democrats.
But what goes on is get Democrats in these parts, and that's why I think we don't even know how bad things are. Oh God, I just let me get some of what she has said. This is a woman.
Well, obviously, they're taking fire for this, right?
Oh yeah, they're taking big fire.
Okay. Well, okay.
But it was not even close, Susan. It was this huge vote. I mean, way lopsided. I can't find her tweets. I'm sorry, but I mean, just unbelievable. I mean, she's mocked people with addictions, called them junkies, said, we'd be better. She sounds like a
like a Trumper.
Yeah. And
Sounds like
here she is getting the endorsement of the Allegheny County Democratic Committee overwhelmingly. She belittles trans people. She mocks gun safety legislation. She's called people on public assistance lazy, no good idiots. She has said that drug addicts need to OD so there is less shit in the world. She has openly supported Donald Trump. And the people who embody, who personify the Democratic Party in Allegheny County endorsed her over a truly competent, progressive woman. How is that even possible?
I don't know. I don't understand it. What is their explanation when they come under fire?
There is no explanation.
The explanation is they want to win at all costs, and they don't care if the Democrat is a Democrat. If the only way to put a Democrat in there is to put a Trump or Republican in there and call her a Democrat, then that's what they're going to do. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard, but that's what they're going to do.
Well, they've made themselves, I think, irrelevant. Let me just say that often the people that they do endorse don't win. They have also said this is a seat vacated by a long-term incumbent, and I guess he wanted her. Now, isn't that amazing? A longtime Democrat who's been in the legislature said, this is the woman I want to succeed me. So people were saying it was a tip of the hat to him. Okay, if this is who you want. Also, they always say things like, well, we vote when a progressive comes up to challenge an incumbent. They say, well, we always, we stand behind incumbents. And yet they failed to endorse an incumbent who happens to be a black progressive woman who startled them all last time around by knocking out one of their own. The Democratic Party is, I mean, around here.
Well, no, here's what it is. The people in your party calling themselves Democrats that have enough energy to involve themselves in the process are the wrong people. But until the right people get off their tushes and involve themselves in the process such that the right people are running your Democratic Party, that's what you're going to get.
That's right.
If you keep ceding power on the local level to creeps, you get bad local crap happening. And at this level, it behooves everybody to get off their duffs and do something about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, really, this you could do something about.
It would
And by the way, can I just say that local politics is really extremely fun and very interesting. It takes a lot of adrenaline, but there are worse ways to spend hours that you don't know what to do with if you're changing your life or at a different point where you have time to do these things. This is very interesting, and may I say your country needs you.
Yes, indeed. There's a lot of men and I'm sorry again to do this to you good guys. There's just a lot of white men in power who need to be jettisoned. The Allegheny County Democratic Party is a case in point, because that is just it's an old boys club. That's what it is. And the only way you get rid of them is infiltration over time and take them out one by one. Another case, I think this is from, is it Georgia? Tennessee. So every year Tennessee enacts a tax holiday where for, I guess, 3 days, things that are usually, have a sales tax on them do not. And so obviously,
lots of people do that around the beginning of school and things like computers and things like that.
That is right. It's right. They do it at the end of the summer when people have to buy a lot of stuff for their kids to go back to school, and it's a sales tax holiday. Well, this year, a Democrat in the Tennessee legislature attempted to add to the list of items that would be tax-free for those 3 whole days. Tampons and, women's hygiene products. And that they should be taxed in the first place.
All hell broke loose.
Well,
Yeah, but they should be taxed in the first place, right?
Yeah,
right.
yeah, right. They should not be. A Republican lawmaker felt that women would would use it to hoard tampons.
Well, if they were smart, they would.
Yeah, actually, if they were smart, they would. They'd buy up a ton of them. He said, this could cost us money because if all women have to buy this product throughout the year, so blah, 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 and yada, yada, yada. And it turns out, Susan, I never heard this phrase. These phrases always annoy me, but this is one person quoted in this article is identified as a menstrual equity advocate.
That's better than domestic engineer.
Well,
okay.
I don't know. A menstrual equity advocate.
Equity.
I mean, why would it be?
Well,
it's only women could. I mean, I think
it's not equity.
It's not equity, is it?
That
I mean, it's only
sense,
women.
Really. No, because men don't get to equate with menstrual.
Right. So equity with
is the wrong
whom?
word.
But that's what throughout the article,
what she really wants is a hold harmless movement for menstrual issues. In other words, don't make it worse by taxing us, punishing us in various and sundry ways, because this occurs in our lives.
Yeah.
So really what you want is some sort of hold harmless legislation, not equity. It can't be equal unless we force men to bleed once a month.
I know. I mean, which
is not a bad idea. We could just,
How do you do that, man? It reminded somebody of this, which I don't remember, that back in the day, when people suggested women could be astronauts, some guy at NASA said, well, I mean, there's just not enough. A woman needs 100 tampons a week. Where are we going to put all these things? What is it that men don't understand about this very
I don't know.
basic?
But here's the good news. A woman just came back from, a year in space, so they obviously found a cubby.
Jeez. God, man. Okay.
Now, what's interesting, though, if you start on this way of thinking, what's interesting is, first of all, there's no place to stop. That from the moment a woman is born, a girl is born, these things start.
Yeah.
And it's piled and piled and piled until we have created a creature who is designed for nothing more except mating.
That's right.
And that's why we do all the stuff that we do to her. It's all about mating.
Yeah.
And for some reason, men are deemed to be just fine as they come, and they don't have to do any of this stuff for mating.
What did you mean? What did you say? Men are fine when they come?
Just as they come. Yes. Well, yeah.
I see. Just as they come. I was thinking of the sexual act. What are you talking about?
I know you were.
I know, but
I'm intentionally punny.
Okay. Okay, men. Yeah.
My mind works in mysterious ways.
Okay, as
anyway,
they come into this world, yes, they are. Yeah.
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 They are just fine the way they are.
Aren't they?
And anything they do wrong has the following attached to it. Oh, boys will be boys. Girls, however, are on a lifelong quest to be primped and primed to find the proper mate. And other than that, the culture really doesn't views us as a nuisance, trying to do things we don't belong doing, or talk about things we have no right to talk about, or demand things for ourselves that who the hell are we anyway? And the more you look around at every single thing you do and own and put on your body, the more you notice how controlled women in this country are.
Oh, my God. Yeah. And how we fall for it. Oh, I mean,
how we absolutely fall for it.
The older women get, generally, they pull away. But not
but
always.
The older women get smart too late.
Yeah, that's right. There was a front page piece in the Wall Street Journal today about women now, and some men, wearing ridiculous things to the gym, because the gym is really, they're not going necessarily, well, they are. They're going to exercise.
They're mating.
But that they have to be dressed to the nines, and often that their high-end exercise clothes now are unbelievably expensive and also make it harder to work out. They're describing some of this stuff that people are wearing. Well, here's one for a man. Listen to this. A fashion line in California created a jock strap embroidered with pearls, crystals, and seashells. It sells for $35,000, and they've actually sold one. What? And somewhere in this article it says, I'm sitting there thinking, what the? And then it says here, someone is quoted as saying this: people want to take selfies and videos during their workouts. so they're dressing for that. And then other people want to step up their game and do the same. Oh my God. This is the end. This is what everything in a nutshell that bespeaks the superficiality, self-centeredness, and just utter repulsiveness of our culture. That when you're working out, you want to take a selfie? Why? I'm asking as an older person. And two...
Well, the only reason I could think of to take a picture at the gym is if you're working with a trainer and you have finally mastered the perfect form of a certain movement.
That's not
and
why.
A picture is taken.
That's not why. They want to show off.
I'm sure it's not.
They want to sit and put it out there. Look
it's
at
like
me.
Being forced to watch.
Look at me.
It's like being forced to look at what people eat all the time.
I know. What is wrong with people? Do you really think anyone gives a shit? And then it turns out, yes, their friends give a shit. Because the second sentence here is that then other people want to step up their game. So if people start working out in stiletto heels, well, then other idiots start working out in stiletto heels because you have to keep up. How pathetic are human beings? I can't take it. I really can't take this self-absorbed, repulsive culture. And I'll tell you something. They can get on us boomers left and right. But this is an aspect of the younger culture that is just disgusting. This constant self-reference and the need to show it to others. What the fuck is that about? You're not that important. Nobody gives a damn.
Well, maybe it came from this is the generation that were raised by parents who told them everything they did was marvelous. Who, that it was constant affirmation by everybody from the time that they were born, with snow blowers getting rid of any dust that might be on their way in the sidewalk, so there's no obstacles for them to deal with. And once they grow and they get in the real world, that constant affirmation just sort of disappears.
It's just...
maybe they affirm themselves, is my thought.
Yeah, maybe they do. Jesus Christ. Okay.
We didn't used to need this. If you had friends, that was affirmation enough. If you didn't have friends, perhaps that was an issue and you ought to shower.
God almighty. I'm sorry. I don't like this
But how
culture.
can you work out in expensive clothes? I mean, don't you sweat? And
I work out in the rattiest crap I have. First of all, and the most comfortable stuff I have. But it's beyond me. Oh, Susan, let's take a moment to note that Stephen Miller has wed.
I know.
One of the worst human beings in the universe. And it was a small dating pool.
Well, all I can say is whatever wonderful woman saw him as her knight in shining armor is probably an equally horrifying human being.
Well, that's true, because in
so
fact...
let's just toast. May they deserve each other.
No, I think, isn't the woman he married the communications director for Pence or something? There's an article in the New York Times about how these Trump people in D.C. are so not considered people anyone really...
they have no one to date.
They have no one to date and nobody... So it's such a small pool that they're mating each other.
They're inbreeding. Yeah,
yeah, wonderful. And it says here that there is reason. I mean, OkCupid now, one of the dating sites, says that anti-Trump mentions on user profiles have increased by more than 52% since 2017, which says that what your politics are is now hugely important on these dating sites. Somebody's even written a book, How Politics is Polarizing Relationships, Love in the Age of Trump. Yeah. Well, I can see why
would you want to go out with someone? Yeah,
no.
I mean, would you want to?
No. It'd be a deal breaker. So you'd say, things like...
it would be a deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why start a relationship with someone that's going to give you heartburn?
Yeah, so Trump's horrific press secretary, who's never given a press briefing, is going out with Trump's director of White House advance stuff. I don't know. And there's a whole bunch of others that they said are dating because nobody else would. Ugh. God.
Please, God, let's all just take a moment of silent reflection and concentrate really hard on holding it all together until we get this.
It's so fucking hard. I'm sorry.
I
I'm
never,
just like, oh.
I get him out of there. I mean, we just got to do it.
I mean, and then you got like this repulsive senator from what southern state? Oh, Arkansas, Tom Cotton, suggesting on Fox News Sunday that the coronavirus was actually a bio weapon that the Chinese have unleashed, and that is now
on themselves. They unleashed it on themselves.
Yeah, that makes sense. They decided to kill themselves.
They wanted to see if it would indeed ruin their economy.
And who's also Steve Bannon, God help us, immediately jumped on this, and he actually does a podcast. One was War Room Impeachment, and now he's turned to War Room Pandemic, and he's now spreading this. And I'm seeing articles left, right, and center that Chinese people are experiencing all kinds of, people who, anyone who is Asian looks Chinese to an American, right? And
Americans being so brilliant, they just assume they come with the coronavirus.
Exactly. So they're being told, to get out of my store, get out of the country.
That happened with the swine flu. That happened with SARS. Every time these things happen and they're associated with China in any way, the people that look Asian in this country, and it doesn't matter if they're Chinese, are immediately attacked.
That's right. That's right. The stupidity of human beings is just, and how fearful people so quickly are. Like people freaking out about that here. When I'm sorry, right now, if you want to freak out about something, freak out about the old flu, which is killing a lot of.
I did order. I have two appropriately rated gas masks in order to get our mother back on an airplane, so I don't have to drive her home.
What do you mean? You got her?
She doesn't want to get on an airplane. So I, before the shortage hit the United States,
you got her what?
Ordered two 95 rated.
Are you kidding?
Masks.
You got one of those respiratory masks? They are so apparently.
Well, it just has a little thing.
They're so apparently uncomfortable.
Well, it doesn't look.
She's gonna wear that
like
on the plane back.
If she's got it, if she wants to wear it, she'll be disappointed when she realizes that the only way she can sip her vodka is by taking off her mask.
Yeah.
But it'll serve to get her on the airplane.
Unbelievable. Well, look, she's an older person and she's anxious.
Of course she is. I thought the smartest thing to do was to immediately sit down and order a mask.
Jesus, God. But you got one for yourself?
Well, so she doesn't think that, I'm...
What?
Yeah.
Are you going to
You're going to do
You're
this thing,
not going to wait. Susan.
No, I am not. Although, when I used to fly with Eric, when he had cancer, he had to wear a mask, and I wore a mask with him. You bet.
Yeah, that I understand. So, okay, speaking of this virus, so did you see the pictures of this? Did you see the pictures of this supposedly retrofitted cargo plane that they put all these Americans?
Oh, God, what they put pods in with people in them?
No.
Oh, my God.
No, they're all sitting there, cheek to jowl. These are the ones who were kept in their rooms on the ship. And the U.S. takes them off and sticks them all together in an airplane, including 14 of them who've tested positive for the virus. But they say...
Yeah, but Lynn, those 14 are in containers.
No, they're not. You didn't see the picture.
Yes, they are.
You didn't see the picture.
Yes, they are. I watched the report last night on TV. They were in containers. The 14 infected people were sitting in the back in pods. They were in large pods. They were in containers so as not to be with the rest of the people. They stuck these people
in... Okay, that is not what I am looking at a picture from the New York Times, and there is a plastic sheet.
Yes, and behind that sheet is where the pods were. Honest. They were in containers. They were like in shipping containers.
Wait a minute. They stuck these people one by one into a container for a
No, they were large containers, and I'm sure there was more than one person in them, but they were sanitary pods that kept them separate from the rest of the people in the airplane. And yes, they were behind that curtain. And I spent the whole time thinking, God, how'd you like to do the flight in a pod?
Well, how'd you like to do the flight in general sitting? The odds are that a lot of these other people who aren't in pods are probably incubating the virus.
Are infecting.
So this is
insane.
Infecting each other.
And that's why not everybody left that ship. There was a doctor that they interviewed that was on that ship who said, I'm staying here. If the safest way to contain this thing is to stay here until you know for sure that you're out of danger, then stay here. So he just stayed, and when they're all cleared, he'll go home regular.
Listen, let me just. I have no idea. This other ship that the Cambodians warmly welcomed let a whole bunch of people out, and those people scattered all over the world, and they're carrying the virus. So. All right, just saying. It's quite clear that the world doesn't know what to do with this, and doesn't know how to. Keeping them on those ships was a wrong call too, because there was no way to contain it on that ship. Sticking people in those.
No, you're recirculating air. It's just it's spreading it.
Well,
basically, it's saying keep that ship at sea until you're all dead, and then
Well, I want to see. It'll be interesting to see how all these Americans who got brought back in this plane, what the end result is for
How
all
they
of
fare.
you. Yeah.
Well, they go right back into quarantine.
Yeah, I know. They go right back into quarantine. Man, and how are you enjoying your vacation?
Take a cruise. It'll cost you 6 months of solitary confinement.
Unbelievable.
You know, there were so many reasons I could think of never to go on a cruise before this.
Yeah.
But
And this sort of
never
yeah.
being held prisoner once you go is like the one I never thought of.
Yeah, yeah. This is going to take the cruise industry is going to take a big hit, which as because I hate those damn ships, I'm perfectly happy. There's a story about the bravery of two men in China that have now disappeared, and you can assume that they were disappeared by the Chinese government. But this, I read it, and I just wanted to weep at the courage of a few people. These are two men. They don't know each other. They both live in China. One lived in Wuhan, and he was he sold clothes. He worked at a local clothing store. And he watched them throwing like body bags into the back of some truck one day. And he took a picture. And he posted it. And he continued to posting what the Chinese government was not allowing out. And needless to say, he has been disappeared. He knew they were coming after him because it said on February 2nd, he posted how officials had confiscated his laptop and interrogated him about the pictures of the body bags. And in his final video, he said right to the camera, and this is just a regular, ordinary person who'd had enough. He said to the camera, he railed against greed for power and the tyranny of the Chinese government. And his last video was 12 seconds long, and it was just a scroll of paper with the words, "All citizens resist. Hand power back to the people." He's disappeared. Another young guy who wasn't in Wuhan but considers himself a citizen journalist ran there after they closed the place down. And he started just trying to tell people what was really going on. And his stuff was blocked all over the place. As his reports went on, it was clear he was becoming more and more scared, and he flat out said on one of his posts, "I am so scared. In front of me is the virus. Behind me is China's legal and administrative power." His parents were contacted, asked where he was, and his last post said, "I am not afraid of death. You think I'm scared of you, Communist Party?" He's gone. I just want to say that we in America,
We're flirting with things we don't want to flirt with.
This is what authoritarian government in this technological age looks like. Every person in China is followed by the government. Everything they do is, and they, yes, disappear. We're flirting.
And here in the United States, there's a story in the paper about a tow truck operator who was a quote fishing buddy with the police chief,
Oh, yes.
who, fearing that one of his employees was going to sue him for racial discrimination, and he had a good case, had his buddy arrest the guy.
Arrest him, right.
On theft charges. And, I mean, just imagine that. We're living in a country where one businessman calls the police chief and says, this guy's giving me trouble, make up a case, and arrest him. And they're such idiots. They got emails showing the whole thing, and the detective, advising on the timing of various things so that it doesn't look like retaliation and blah, 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 blah. I mean, long story short, they get sued, and now they have to pay this tow truck employee a lot of dough. But the abuse of power that is just assumed right now to be normal and appropriate is not normal or appropriate.
There is, and
Well, it ain't just China. It's right here.
Well, but China's showing the way. China's ahead of us. And I was talking last week about the Equifax hack that we now know was done by the Chinese, as other hacks were, that the Chinese are already compiling unbelievable amounts of information on us. And I'm talking about us individually. They are already, they've got the data on easily half of the American population with the hacks they've done. So they use that stuff to try to figure things out that will benefit them, but ultimately they can use it for who knows what when they take over the world. There is on PBS tonight, 9 o'clock our time, there's Frontline, and it is called The Amazon Empire. And I really think all of you who use Amazon, who buy their shit, need to watch this. It apparently doesn't tell you anything that we don't know, just puts it all together. And it is frightening. Frightening. I try very hard never to use Amazon. I'm pretty good at avoiding them. But we are the ones who are doing this to ourselves in the name of convenience and saving a few bucks here and there. So it's not just about their merchandise stopping on your doorstep. It's about Alexa listening in to everything in your home, collating all her notes about who you are and how you behave as a consumer. It's the video doorbells you have, and the fact that the police are now using all that data mined from everybody's video doorbells. You saw how Pittsburgh and other cities went crazy trying to do anything and everything they could to get Amazon to come and put a headquarters in their city. And it is a frightening picture of a company that will, and already does have, so much power, so much information on us, that if you didn't get it before, that Big Brother is not in China, it's the government, because the government and the companies are working together. In this country, it is the private sector. Do you know that have you noticed that the Amazon delivery trucks aren't as big as FedEx trucks? Have you seen them on the streets? Yeah?
Yeah.
Guess what? There's a reason for that. Those are independently owned delivery trucks, and they are made just small enough to elude federal regulations, which gives they don't miss a beat, which gives Amazon an edge over FedEx and UPS, also makes it exceedingly difficult to track Amazon's trucks' safety records. They don't miss anything. And you remember that when they did pick their site, one of them was in New York City. And then some of the citizens of New York started, protesting and saying, we don't want you to do this. And Bezos said, okay, then we're out of here.
All right, bye.
Who needs you? I'll go to any other city that's like begging us to come. And he picks up and goes. That's power. And this front line is going to challenge all of this because we rationalize, every one of us, our immediate need for getting a product from Amazon. It's so easy. It's easy to find on their website. Then if you're Amazon Prime, you get it delivered for nothing. And we don't think those of us who decry global warming and how it is the biggest issue, we're not thinking when we do that about the environmental impact or any other effect, about how they treat their employees, about anything. Just getting something fast and for a little less. So shame on every one of us. We're doing this to ourselves, and by the time we figure out what we've given away, again, it'll be too late. So check out.
It was almost immediately too late, though, because stores responded fairly quickly. And there are certain things that you simply can't get except, if not Amazon, on the internet. They aren't stocked in stores.
Well, you can get them. I mean, I don't know. I just the other day ordered something from them, and I felt so guilty. And I think I could have done it. It would have taken longer and caused me a little more work. But I had that weak moment where I did it. So I don't know. And they worm your way in. I mean, Alexa. Oh, she can be very helpful. They are going
No, it absolutely terrifies me when I watch my grandchildren tell Alexa to add something to the shopping list or to play this song or and on it comes and they're delighted. And I just look at my son who, is very savvy about all this stuff. And I go, really? I mean, you really want that recording you all the time? I don't allow that. I don't have those things.
Well, I don't either. However, most people do, so it doesn't make much difference.
even on your TV, even if you have one of those remotes where you can speak,
and I can
into
on
the
my TV
and have
right.
them.
That's right.
That is also a spy.
That's right. Jesus. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so Mike Bloomberg's going to be in his first debate tomorrow. That'll be interesting. I'll watch that one. Susan?
Yeah.
There's increasingly people thinking that this money of his is going to do it. And I don't know.
Yeah, that's what they. I got a call asking if I would support. I mean, I got a text asking for my support, and I assume that they judge my support in a monetary fashion. So he's asking for money.
Oh, I don't think he needs anybody's money. I'm surprised at that. He just got done spending. It's just mind blowing because he has enough money to do anything he wants.
Well, I know he does.
And he is dropping so much money that he's going way up in the polls because people who do not pay attention, but people who are on Facebook and on YouTube and on Instagram and all the other stuff, they cannot be on their devices without seeing Bloomberg ads, and they're slick and they're good every 2 seconds. And so that creates this sense of ubiquity and just sort of, this must be the guy. And somewhat like Trump, he is able to, by buying it, attract so much attention and so much media then attention, which will follow it, that's the name of the game. Just be there, be the name on everybody's lips, constant exposure on all of the ways people get their information. We're talking about him, and he bought that.
No, I think I told you last week that I thought the end ticket would be something like Bloomberg, Klobuchar, and I think that would be a winning ticket. And it says nothing about what my preference is. I'm just saying I think that combo could beat Trump easily.
And there's
I could see the commercials now. Fake billionaire, real billionaire.
The fact is this shows the corruption of our country.
Yeah.
That you can buy your way in. That it is about money and what money can do. And also, he, like Trump is shameless about his life and everything he does, his business dealings. Bloomberg is shameless about his money. He doesn't apologize for what he's doing and what he's able to do. So there's a kind of shamelessness in that. He understands that if he buys his way into this conversation, he can ultimately succeed. I find it extraordinarily depressing. Yes, he'd be better than Trump. But if this is what it comes to, and I have to tell you, I just keep getting this extraordinarily queasy feeling that if Bernie gets it, which is another possibility, that
he'd lose.
We'll be looking at, in terms of the Electoral College, almost like a McGovern-like.
I think so.
Or like when the Republicans put Goldwater up.
Goldwater, yeah, I think so. And I don't know why, I don't know who these Bernie people are that can't see that. They just go back to how he wouldn't have won before. And I know because I know all the people that absolutely don't want to vote for him. And I mean, I know that I would, but I don't think, I know a lot of people that wouldn't. They just would stay home. And we can't have any stay-homers. We just can't. It's just not about your guy winning. It's not about anybody's guy winning. It's about their guy losing. And we've just got to keep understanding that and try to do our best. I don't get why this is so hard.
Tony says, I think Trump is nervous about Bloomberg. He wants to run against Sanders. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's why he
wanted
Biden
Sanders
out of there. He wants to run against Sanders. How can
But who knows? Again, I will state that none of us know anything anymore. All the things that we think we know, or like all the old, this is the way it works. You can't win.
This is the way forward. Yeah, no, none of that works.
You can't win if you didn't win New Hampshire. I doubt that. You can't, and for those of us who've already got Biden out, don't even necessarily, that's not true until we see what happens in South Carolina. But on, Super Tuesday, you could see something mind-blowing like Bloomberg. And do you know who's in double digits in South Carolina? Another billionaire, Steyer.
Right. And I mean, I liked Steyer when he was just, a shit disturber on the, on my email. But I'm not particularly impressed by him. And part of it is that it's just another.
It's a rich guy being able to get by his way in. Nobody else would get there with his total lack of any experience at all. His experience is he's rich. Bloomberg, at least, has entered the political. Yeah. I mean, he's held a big elective position, and by all accounts, did it pretty well.
Yeah, I think people agree that he was a very good mayor of New York City. Of course, people could say that about Rudy Giuliani, too. So, you have to be careful.
Wasn't Bloomberg the one who succeeded
Giuliani?
Yeah. Well, then there's all the stop and frisk stuff and the woman stuff, too, that he's not.
And his stuff.
And you know what?
Well,
there's stuff on everybody.
But any rich guy, rich guy of a certain era, you're going to be able to find awful things that they've said about women. I mean, because it's in the handbook. They just get to do that. And it's just we've got to have a little leeway there and keep people from doing it in the future. But you just erase a whole generation of men.
That is true. Also, it was pointed out, something I read today, that the last two times that we won the White House with Bill Clinton and with Barack Obama, both those guys had huge baggage. Clinton, obviously, having to go on, 60 Minutes? He had to go on, just start with his campaign starting to start batting off all the women stuff.
The women that were bussed into the governor's mansion, right?
Yeah, but he won, and then there was Barack Obama. Do you remember Barack Obama, who admitted to, I think, snorting coke once? Who also had this minister who said something awful about, like, God damn the United States of America. All of those things look like killers, when they came out. Oh, my God, he's done. You can't. Why would you go to a church that's so un-American? And remember how that all played? Well, look, didn't stop him. So don't get too freaked about stuff that seems so huge. And all we have to do, of course, point to Donald Trump and all the stuff that voters knew about him.
Why are you looking at them?
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's just pretty awful.
And I wonder how many people are paying no attention at all. So if you're, we think everyone's paying attention. I mean, we assume people know what's going on. Most people don't. And so they are particularly susceptible to the ads they see, to Bloomberg ads, to whatever they're reading from whatever sources. And truth or reality, I don't think it has much standing in this world today. I just don't.
No, but it's a pretty easy, clear thought process with someone like Bloomberg, because basically he's just hammering on certain facts that add up to success, competency, not Trump. And, that's the message.
I'm thinking that the yard sign I think we should all put in our yards is something like anybody but.
Right. Or the same, not Trump.
Or the Democrat.
Right.
Yeah, something
like a whole line of them for the Senate race, a Democrat, for the House race, a Democrat. Democrat.
Yeah. Last
That
time
would be a
around
nice
here, there were
statement, just across the front of your house.
yeah, in the 2 years ago, there were a lot of yard signs that just said "Vote Blue." So of course, I had a picture of my dog Blue in front of one of those signs. I said, "Definitely vote blue." All right, Suze, we're out of time.
Oh, did I do it?
Yeah.
Because my dog is whimpering and his
Okay.
legs are crossed.
Okay. Okay. Well, out you go. Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. And see you guys tomorrow. Okay. Bye.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.